With the 2020 NBA All-Star Game almost underway, Devin Booker got in as the replacement due to the injured Damian Lillard, while LeBron James is officially a 16-time All-Star, became the second youngest in NBA history at 20 years old back in 2005. Some of the best players to never make the All-Star game includes Mike Bibby and Mike Conley. With the loaded young talent in the NBA today, it will be very difficult for any players over the age of 30 to make his first All-Star team. With 10 different first-time All-Stars, 20-year-old Luka Doncic, 21-year-old Trae Young, 23-year-old Devin Booker, 22-year-old Bam Adebayo, 23-year-old Domantas Sabonis, 22-year-old Brandon Ingram, 23-year-old Donovan Mitchell, 21-year-old Jason Tatum, 25-year-old Pascal Siakam, and 27-year-old Rudy Gobert, the oldest first-time All-Star this season. Some of the most other notable 27-year-old first-time All-Stars includes Marc Gasol, Robert Parrish, and Manu Ginobili. But today, let's take a look at 10 of the oldest first-time All-Stars in NBA history. Number 10, Rick Smith, at 31 years old, 5 months, 16 days to be exact, made the roster as a reserve center, scored 10 points, 7 rebounds, backed up Dikembe Mutombo. The 7'4" dunking Dutchman was already in his 10th season in the league, averaged 16.7 points, almost 7 rebounds on 50% shooting that season. Indiana was one of the best teams, finished with 58 wins, a game short of the NBA Finals. Smith was the second best player on his team, behind Reggie Miller, spent all 12 seasons with the Pacers, retired 2 years later after the 2000 Finals, averaged double digits in scoring every season of his career, one of the most important players in Pacers franchise history. Number 9, Ricky Pierce, 31 years old, 5 months, 22 days, 6 days older than Smith's, the 91 All-Star game. One of the least talked about good two guards in the 80s and 90s, Pierce came into the league in 82, spent his first 2 seasons with Detroit and the San Diego Clippers, before enjoying 6.5 seasons with Milwaukee. Known for providing instant offense off the bench, Pierce won 2 Sixth Man of the Year awards in 87 and 90, averaged 17 points over 6.5 seasons with the Bucks. Despite starting only 46 games, his tenure with Milwaukee was one of the best knockdown shooters, a career 49.3 field goal percentage, still holds the highest points per game average at 23 without starting a single game in the 1990 season, doing so in just 29 minutes. Pierce didn't make his first All-Star game until the season after, scored 9 points as a backup for Jordan and Joe Dumars, was traded to the Seattle Sonics 5 days later for Dale Ellis, had a productive 16-year career, also ranks 21st all-time in free throw percentage at 87.55 to be exact. Number 8, Goran Dragić, 31 years old, 9 months, 12 days, was the replacement for Kevin Love, who had a broken hand. At the time, the Slovenian point guard was averaging 17 points. After he was announced the replacement, was picked ahead of Ben Simmons, Blake Griffin, and Kemba Walker, all of whom had strong cases. Kemba eventually got in for Kristaps Porzingis' replacement. A motivated Ben Simmons proved he was better. When the Heat faced the Sixers in the first round, Simmons was by far the best player on the court in the 5 games, averaged 18.2 points, 10.5 rebounds, 9 assists, 2.4 steals on 50% shooting, was controlling the tempo the whole series, while Dragić put up 18.6 points, 4.5 assists on 47% shooting. But most of the games weren't even close. At least the 6'3" guard can say he was a former NBA All-Star, scored only 2 points. Now at the latter stages of his career, coming off the bench, still a very good player for the Heat, Dragić has come a long way after spending most of his time on the bench his first few seasons in Phoenix, backing up Steve Nash. Number 7, Mark Eaton, one of the best shot blockers in NBA history, 32 years old, 19 days, 1989. The 7'4" giant was one of the best defensive bigs the game has ever seen, led the league in shot blocking 4 different times, made 5 defensive teams, 3 defensive first teams, a 2-time defensive player of the year who spent all 11 seasons with the Utah Jazz. Eaton didn't have much offense, but was a nightmare for the opposing players who got to the paint. Came into the league at 26 years old. At age 21, he was an auto mechanic with no talent for basketball whatsoever, barely played at UCLA, with few NBA teams showing any interest. Eaton continued to improve his game and was mainly out there for rebounds and block shots, averaged just 6.2 points his All-Star season, but grabbed over 10 rebounds, rejected nearly 4 shots a game, joining teammates Karl Malone and John Stockton, helping Utah win 51 games that season. For the first time in franchise history, the big man was eventually slowed down by knee and back injuries, had his number 53 jersey retired for the Jazz. After retirement, became a very successful businessman and a motivational speaker. Number 6, Antonio Davis, 32 years old, 3 months, 11 days, 2001, was one of the 4 replacements. The 6'9" big man was in his 9th season. His second year with the Raptors, teammate Vince Carter received the most votes. Davis had 8 points, 9 rebounds, helped his 47-win team Raptors advance to the semis by knocking off the Knicks in 5, went on to play 13 total seasons in the NBA. Number 5, Vlade Divac, who continues to take heavy criticism. Being in the Kings front office, as a player, the 7'1" center was very solid throughout his career. Didn't make the All-Star team till age 33, and 8 days old, was the injured replacement to Shaquille O'Neal. When everyone thinks of Divac, he'll always be known as the guy traded for Kobe Bryant on draft day. Even he admitted he would trade himself for Kobe any day. The Serbian native had a long productive career, being the starting center in the 91 finals his second season, to spending 2 years with Charlotte. Divac was a huge addition to the Kings. After 12 seasons, the 7'1" center got in due to the expense of Shaq, averaged 12 points, 8.3 rebounds for a 55-win team, got in over Dirk Nowitzki, who averaged 22 and 9. Frontcourt teammate Chris Webber was the starter. Divac scored 8 points in the All-Star game, but was abused by Stephon Marbury with the street ball legendary ball fake. Missed the shot, could have been one of the most insane highlights, followed by Shaq destroying Divac, averaging over 33 points in the 4-game semi-sweep. Divac retired after the 04-05 season. Number 4, Kyle Korver, who many forget was an All-Star back in the 2014-15 season, one of 4 Hawks to make it since they dominated the regular season under Coach Butts' system. 33 years old, 10 months, 29 days, having one of the most productive careers as a second-round pick. A lot of players drafted 51st don't ever sniff a single minute in the NBA. Now in his 17th season, in the same exact draft class as LeBron, D-Wade, and Melo, Korver averaged 12.1 points, over 4 rebounds that season. On an extremely efficient 49% from deep, was actually a replacement for the injured D-Wade. Shot 53% from 3 on over 160 triples made when he was announced a replacement, was even more productive in his early to mid-30s, enjoyed 4.5 seasons at the ATL, played for 6 different total teams. Every team would love to have a prime Kyle Korver caliber player on their squad today. Dropped 21 in the All-Star game, 7 threes, showed off his range. The only starter from the Hawks to not make it that year was DeMar Carroll. Number 3, Anthony Mason. Rest in peace to the Knicks legend who passed away at age 48 in 2015. One of the hardest workers who embraced the grind, made the All-Star team at 34 years old, 1 month and 28 days. The 01 All-Star game was supposed to be a reserve, bumped up as a starter for an injury replacement. Being at the tail end of his career, the 6'7" power forward had his best season his first year in Miami, averaged a career best 16.1 points, grabbed 9.6 rebounds, a tireless worker, did all the dirty work, and one of the most beloved Knicks all time. Mason will always be remembered as a fierce competitor. Came a long way, played college ball at Tennessee State, from being drafted in the 3rd round, the perfect player to excel under Pat Riley with hard work, proving anything was possible. Number 2, Sam Cassell, 2004. One of the most underrated players in NBA history in my opinion. Cassell deserves more recognition for his leadership, was 34 years old, 2 months and 28 days, selected to his first and only All-Star appearance. In his 11th season, averaged 19.8 points, 7.3 assists as the 2nd best player on the Wolves. Behind MVP Kevin Garnett, Cassell scored 4 points that game, made All-NBA 2nd team that season, had success everywhere he went, whether it was Minnesota, his first 3 seasons in Houston, and even at the latter part of his career with the Clippers. Steve Francis was the West starter that season, but Cassell had a better year. For a 58-win Minnesota team, got hurt in the conference finals. Cassell will always be remembered for his excellent IQ and pretty mid-range game. Number 1, Nat Clifton. Way back in 1957, the 6th ever NBA All-Star game, at 34 years old, 3 months and 2 days, scored 8 points, averaged 10.7 points that season with the Knicks, his 2nd to last season in the NBA. As a 6'6" power forward, Clifton passed away in 1990 at age 67, remembered as one of the first African Americans to play in the NBA. Thank you so much for watching this video. For my next free potential giveaway with the 2020 All-Star game coming up, if Luka Doncic wins All-Star game MVP in Chicago, the first person to DM me on IG at WilsonSide93 will win a free Luka Doncic jersey if he gets All-Star game MVP. So don't DM me before it's announced, because that won't count. I'll be watching. Best of luck to each and every one of you. See you next time.